I actually have a few members of the public that wish to comment on this, but directors, anybody want to speak before we hear public comment? Great. Well, let's go to public comment then. I have George Sergio Figueroa, followed by Sarah Bump.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I did some research and I looked up all major public transportation systems in the United States, and there's not one that does not pay for benefits and wages through fares. Not one. All major transportation systems are running on deficits. Transportation systems are like the fire department, they're like the police department, they're like public schools. They're a public good and a public investment. They don't run to make a profit. To expect fares and parking increases to pay for capital projects is naive. Major capital projects are paid for through grants, bond initiatives, taxes, grants from the federal government and the state government. They're not paid for through fares. It can't be done. Most riders would be priced out if you actually did that. A ride from Walnut Creek to the city would have to be $20 round trip now. The airport would be $40 round trip now. This decision that is being made was based on an opinion piece by someone who constantly attacks BART employees and BART in general. That writer also mentioned that the problem was due to 40 years of underfunding pensions and poor planning for upgrades and modernization. Maybe we should concentrate on that. Find out what happened. Why for 40 years this has been the case. So fare revenues are primarily used for operations in all major transportation systems. And whatever's left over, which is very little, goes to capital. During this time, you know, when we gave up $100 million in concessions on the last contract in order to make up for a shortfall in the budget, management still kept receiving bonuses, which is a matter of public record. So what I don't understand is why management gets bonuses and COLA type increases and we're not deserving of them. Especially when, you know, the fact is that ridership is at 400,000 people. But when you think of that, that's really abstract. What that means is you see a huge number of an increase in fare evaders, you see an increase in assaults, you see an increase in dissatisfaction because the trains are crowded, you see an increase in people complaining about huge dogs, bicycles being on during commute, and a host of other problems that come with that increase. We've lost control of the system, and that's clear. But who gets the complaints? It's the station agents, the system service workers, the train operators, the frontline workers. And we're made to look bad in the press. And this vote that we're deciding to make, this change that we're deciding to make, makes it seem like, well, these people don't deserve it, and we got to make sure we let the public know this was an opinion, an editorial. This is not the public that's speaking. We have no idea what the public thinks. Every survey that BART does is flawed. 840 people decide that there should be fare increases, that they're okay with it? Out of 400,000 people? We should have gotten thousands and thousands more. Then we know what the public was thinking. I don't know if you're aware of all of the assaults that have occurred, the shooting at Richmond, the person that was killed in the elevator. You know, we've gotten to the point where if someone has a stroke, we don't even write a UOR. It happens all the time. And we have to deal with that. And if we ask for 3 days off, it's included in those absences that they write about in the newspapers. There are a lot of people here, a lot of agents, a lot of public. If you really ask them what they're concerned about, they're not concerned about the fare increases. They're concerned about a clean system. And if you want a clean, safe system, you're gonna have to treat the employees and pay them what they're worth, instead of damning them in the public. And it seems like the board and the district is complicit in that. I've already gotten people coming to me, insulting me because I make too much, I'm never there, and they've been misled. And we need to think more about this issue. Let's be realistic about what operations, what fares, you know, what the difference between the operation budget is and the capital budget. There's just no way you're gonna pay for billions and billions of dollars for new trains on the backs of the riders. And the amount that would go to the workers is always misrepresented. And I need to this needs to be postponed, and we need to re-examine this issue in fairness to everyone, the public and the BART employees.
Thank you. So colleagues, Sarabump had ceded her time. That's why Mr. Figueroa went over. And Aaron Eula, did you wish to speak on this? Or were you also ceding your time? Okay. All right. Regarding item 9. Great. Okay, that's all the public comments. See no other. Okay, good. We're done with public comment. On this one? We're not on. So this is on this resolution. We have the comment for general public comment. Is that when you wanted to speak? Okay. Yeah. So we're on item 8A, which is this resolution. Very good, Todd. Oops. Very good. Microphone problems. Colleagues, we're back to the discussion. So, Dr. Wilbur?
Thank you, President Radulovich. When the BART board discussed this issue 2 meetings ago, I made the comments that we had made a commitment to capital projects back in 2012 to purchase new cars, and we were out on a limb. And with this fare increase, we were able to complete the agreement. When I looked, and so my feelings are that, yes, we have historically shifted operating capital over to capital projects, and that's something that's going to accelerate over the next few years through this fare increase. And the original resolution, it was resolution 5208, I believe would still stand, and it has some 24 whereases, a bunch of now therefores at the end. And so could I ask legal if adopting this motion of intent from Director Keller changes that resolution 5208?
The This isn't an amendment to the resolution. The resolution isn't being brought back to the board. The resolution stands. This is a firm restatement of the intent, and as Director Keller mentioned, it also establishes some procedures, reporting procedures but the resolution does stand as it was adopted.
Thank you. Sorry, Director Malloy?
Yeah, I mean, I'll likely be supporting this restatement of intent. I just want to restate that I am in support of some of the statements made by a member of the public that, you know, we should not go to raise fares for the purpose or the intent of capital projects. I'm a fan of efficiency pricing, and any revenue that happens to be generated from efficient pricing is what I agree to dedicate towards, you know, things such as operations or capital improvements, etc. So in light of this restatement not going into intent of generation but intent of use, I'll be supporting it, but I just want to reiterate that position.
Director Moore? I'm sorry, Director Blaylock, did you wish to speak? Okay. Thank you, Director Moore. Comment. No, no comment.
I was just going to say that it is precisely because we're having all this crowding that I'm in favor of this. We need those new cars. It's absolutely true that the fares will not pay for all of that, but neither will the federal government, we found out. So we have to find some other sources to supplement what we get from the federal government and grants. If we don't, we won't get new cars, and our cars are going to break down, and we're not going to be able to serve people. So that's why I'm in favor of this, and I will vote for it.
Yeah, on this, let me just say that Mr. Figueroa is absolutely correct. Most of the capital money that this district spends and most other transit districts around the country spends are from different sources than their operating budget. So there are grants, there are other sources. The problem we have, the challenge we have, is that those sources are inadequate. If you look at the Metropolitan Transportation Commission and their own look at 20 years into the future, they're looking at shortfalls that are about half of our capital needs projected on into the future. MTC has, in my history here, not at all taken capacity needs seriously. They've just had other priorities. So we're in a funding environment where state support is shrinking, where federal support is shrinking. And so we're going to need to put more of our money towards capital than we have in the past. It's just a reality. We can't let our core system run down because all the operating money in the world won't solve that. If the equipment's not reliable, if it's not safe, and so on. So we're going to have to increase beyond what we've done ever in the past here. So we're not saying we can cover 100% of this, and we're out there seeking other funds. If anyone has any ideas about other funds and can help us do this, help us. We need your help because we've been beating the bushes for years on these. But the other point is important, that we can't ever, we can't run the system. We need to also operate the system. That's